All right, and we're live. Just tweeting. All right. Cool. All right, so today, sorry, shut it down, move the mic over so people can actually hear what I'm saying, and refill my coffee. That's not my coffee. All right, let's get into it. So today, based on a suggestion that came from the repository, which is right here, I'm gonna look at specifically some stuff with dynamic blocks, some things with inner blocks, and we'll just see kind of how that goes. CryoBot, who I believe is someone who watches streams, suggested something about being able to create something similar to what ACF does with inner blocks on the PHP side, which is definitely something that I think we could do, but it's pretty. I don't think it's something. It's very custom. I think currently, and I believe actually today there's going to be a live Q&A on the Gutenberg Times, which I should have with Helen Hosindi, Mark Jaquith, who I think is pronouncing that correctly, and one other person whose name is escaping me, and I apologize, but they're going to be talking about doing some cool things like this. But I don't know if it's technically possible right now to without writing some serious code. Anyhow, somebody joined. Thank you for joining. Hello. Yeah. So, okay, cool. So the thing that we're going to be looking at today is probably is something in this vein. I'm going to probably touch on some of the things. My printer's gone off. Well done. Yeah, so we're going to be looking at creating an accordion block that uses inner blocks. It'll be a dynamic block, etc., and all that sort of stuff. So enough of my rambling. But I'm gonna get into it right now. Okay, cool. So as usual, I'm gonna go through the things that that I do. So I'm using local by Flywheel just to keep things nice and easy. You can use whatever local WordPress development tool you prefer. Nothing wrong with any of them. Cool. So anyway, so what I'm gonna do, I'll get my terminal open here. Sorry, I'm totally not ready. Oh yes, apparently I have to update my terminal. I'm going to use if you were at my stream last week, we talked about this multiple blocks template. So I'm going to just use this to quickly spin up a template for me, a plugin, I should say. I'm gonna just actually jump into Playground. Sorry, CD app public content goal. And then if I just run my, so I don't know if you can see that. Maybe I'll zoom in a little bit. You can see we're going to yes. Oh wait, do I already have an example plugin? This might. No. Okay, cool. So I gave it a name. Oh, I'm putting this in the wrong spot. Sorry, I'm not even paying attention to what I'm doing here. So I dropped that right in the WP content folder as opposed to where it's supposed to be. Pop Brew, hello, welcome. Don't know if I've seen you here before, but I'm glad to have you. Looks like just you and me, so it's good times. So yeah, so this is just installing. So what this is doing, so this is using the create block package that comes with WordPress core. Oh, Pop Brew, hi, thanks for the follow. And what it's going to do, and now we're using a custom template that I used last week. If you can go and check out my stream last week to see how that all works. Basically, this is going to allow us to put it allows us to have a plugin that has multiple blocks. So I scaffold this in completely the wrong spot. I put it there, so I'm just going to go ahead and drop it into my plugins directory and say yes. So today is this one. I'm gonna just October to 14, 2021, 2221. I'm gonna start naming my plugins based on the stream date because I think that's hey, Donna Cavalier. Am I saying that right? Cavalier. I'll say it as many ways as I can, and then one of them will be right. So thank you for joining. I appreciate it. All right, so we're going to just do some things in here. So like I said before, so this is scaffolded out, kind of like a setup that I like to use for managing multiple blocks. Cavalier. Okay, thank you, Donna. Cavalier. I won't forget it now. Anyway, so what we're building today is we're going to try to build an accordion block. An accordion block that uses an InnerBlock component. So I'm going to do that. I think what we'll do is we'll have two blocks, if that makes sense. We'll have a block that is our accordion block, and then we'll have a second block. We'll call it like accordion item. So each item inside the accordion, that is actually the thing that is open and closed, will be its own block. But we don't want that block to be available to the block inserter unless it's inside of an accordion block. So we're going to set it up that way. So the first thing I'm going to do is just rename some things. So bear with me while you watch me type poorly. October 14, 2021. We will do that. That's good. That's good. That's good. Okay. So I think. In our Webpack. Okay. So there's a bunch of stuff going on here. If you didn't see the last stream, I would recommend going back and take a look because I talk about this stuff a little bit. I can go through it a bit now, but basically what this allows us to do is, so we're using the WordPress scripts package inside of in our package.json, and this is what is managing our build. But by default, it's expecting all the JavaScript to be in a source directory at the root of our plugin. And so what we've done is we've overridden a particular part, just the entry point of the of scripts, by basically we're importing the default configuration for the scripts package, and then we're kind of rolling our own Webpack here using everything else, and then we're just adding entry to make it so we can have more than one entry point. Someone in the last stream mentioned about having a much more dynamic approach in here, and I totally agree with that. And I actually, based on that last stream, we're going to probably be doing some stuff for the scripts package and for the create blocks package together that will make this a lot more seamless, where it just checks in a certain directory how many block.jsons are in there, and it'll generate accordingly. But that's sort of still in the talking phase. But anyway, so is there anything else I have to update here? Just ESLint, we've got a get ignore, our block.json. This one we don't need. This is generated dynamically by the create block package as it stands now. Sorry. Excuse me. But in our includes blocks editor blocks example block, we do have a block.json because we need one for each block that we're creating. Cool. So let's start naming things. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my block editor, blocks, example block. I'm going to call this accordion. Right? And then we'll go in here, and then we're going to give this, I'm going to get the names gonna give the namespace today's date, October 14, 2021. I'm just gonna copy that because I'm using it everywhere. I'm gonna call this accordion. Accordion. And yeah, okay, so accordion example plugins is going to be the accordion. Accordion category is not, whatever, we'll leave it in widgets for now. This stuff, text domain, we're not really going to use anything for the text domain today, but I just want to get this in place, right? So we've got that. Now we go to our Webpack. We're going to need to create an entry point. I'm going to call this accordion. This is the accordion block. Call it whatever you want, really. And then what this is expecting is the path to where it can find JavaScript. So in here, we've got accordion, and it's going to look for this index file, and it's going to build everything out. So let's actually just jump over here, cd plugins, and then what is it, October? Okay, I'm going to go npm run start. This is a command that is provided by the WordPress scripts package. Hello to whoever just joined. Thanks for joining. Drop a wave in the chat if you feel so inclined. Cool. Yeah. So now this should give us a build. So let's look in our build. And here, okay, cool. So now we see we've got accordion assets. We've got asset.php. We've got our JavaScript. We've got all kinds of stuff. So we do actually have to come in back to our block.json now and update our editor script, editor style, and style to match the name of the file. It's the name of our entry point. Because remember, we called it accordion. We could call this Ryan's horrible at streaming with dashes, and it would that's what we would have to name it in here. Whatever you call the entry point is what the name of the build file is going to be. So we're just going to go ahead and update all this. And then I think it's going to be this. Let's just look. Style, yep, accordion and accordion. Okay, so we're going to save that. We're going to, the other thing we have to do is come in here and we have to tell it where the accordion block is. I probably could have done this a little bit better when I scaffolded things out. But hopefully now this should work. So let's jump over to my browser window. And here we're going to refresh through. We're going to go over to plugins because remember I installed this as a plugin. So here is the plugin. I'm going to deactivate this one. This is from last week. And activate this. Okay, so plugin got activated. No errors. It's always a good sign. We're going to add new post for today's date, October 14, 2021. You know what? I'm going to call it accordion block because that makes way more sense. Accordion block. And giant letters like we're yelling. Okay, I'm going to publish this. Okay, so let's go accordion. Okay, well, something is broken. So let's take a look. So whenever I do this, I find a couple of ways to, there's a couple of ways to debug this because there's a few reasons why this wouldn't be loaded. It can't find the CS, it can't find the JavaScript file. Maybe the path to block.json is incorrect. So let's take a look. So I didn't see anything. Sorry. So in the sources, you can see if this was loading the JavaScript or the CSS for this block, you would see WP content, and then you would see you'd see the path to it in here. So this is telling me that's not even getting loaded. So let's take another look. I probably just forgot to do something here. So let's see. So we got index. So we know it's building because the build is here. So probably something to do with our path, I guess. Build accordion.js, accordion.css, style-accordion.css. I didn't spell that wrong, did I? Okay. Okay, so now let's look in here. That all looks right. Okay, so let's check the debug. Oh God, let's check the debug log. That's another thing. If you have that enabled, it can tell you things about what is going wrong here. What's this? Create block, example block, not found or invalid. Okay, so weird. Okay, so this is telling me that it looks like, oh wait. No, let's look. It looks like the function that we're calling in here is not actually available. So this is, oh yeah, this is weird. Okay, so this is a scaffolding issue. That had too many things in it. So hopefully that'll work now. Hello to whoever just joined. Welcome. Glad to have you. Okay, so cool. So now if we look at WP content, we can see we've got plugins. There we go. Plugins October 14 to 2021, the build, and now it's pulling everything in. So that was an issue with my template that I have to fix. I think somebody on one of the Discords I've been mentioned that. So if you're watching and it was you, thank you. I'll update that after the call, after the stream. All right, so enough of my rambling. So let's see. So now we should have. Okay. Do we not have an accordion block now? Where's widgets? What was in widgets, wasn't it? What the heck did I call it? Well, that's just weird. Let's just reload this. Make sure it's actually loading. Okay, so what did I call this? Maybe the block's named wrong. Let's look. Title, accordion, category. Strange. Okay. Oh, JavaScript error. Let's see what the console error is. The icon passed is invalid. Oh, that is weird. Okay, let's see what that is. Do I have icon? Oh, because I didn't pass one. That seems counterintuitive to me, actually, that an empty string would break that. Maybe not, though. I don't know. All right, let's try this again. Accordion. Oh, good. We got an accordion and a bunch of errors, which I'm going to ignore because that doesn't have anything to do with that. So that can go away. Cool. So we got, great. We've got a basic, very basic plugin that is loading this thing. So now let's take a look at converting this. So what we're going to do is, okay, let's look. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to turn this into a dynamic block. So dynamic blocks and static blocks differ in the way that they save their data. You can think of it that a dynamic block, a static block, which is like all the blocks that come in core, they have the save method like this, and when it gets called, it generates all the markup, and then the markup gets saved inside the database, which I can show you here the difference. So I'm just going to go in my playground thing, open up adminer. Yeah, that's it. We're going to look at the data. We're going to look at some of this stuff. Let's see. Okay, so this is an example. So the way the blocks save data, if you look at a paragraph block, so this is a core block right here. I don't know if you guys can see that. I'm going to zoom in and hopefully you can see it. So in the actual post content, it's saved with these HTML comments wrapping the actual markup, right? So that's a core block. So that's called a static block, saves the markup to the content, the like the post content field of the database. And it's great, it works, but sometimes you get into issues where if something changes, for example, if in your save you added a class to the p tag, it wouldn't render properly, wouldn't know how to handle it. So a dynamic block looks like this, where all it's saving is the block attributes, and then it's actually rendered on the front end via PHP. So there's nothing saved to the database other than this single reference, this single comment that stores the reference to the plugin, and then any of the attributes that it needs, and then it just gets loaded in. So yeah, so that's that. I'll close this down. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this accordion block and we're going to turn it into a dynamic block. And the first thing that we do is the save function is not really needed anymore. All it needs to do is return null. Return null. That's it. So we don't actually need this save anymore. You can do it, and when we get into the InnerBlocks portion, there will be something that changes here. So actually, maybe I'll just delete it for now. We can add it in later, right? And then in our register block type, what we're going to need to do is we need to pass a second parameter to this now. So there's a second parameter that is passed to register block type. The first parameter is the path to the block.json, which we've already defined here. The second parameter is actually going to be an array. And it's an array of parameters. What am I saying? Doesn't make any sense. So I'm going to pass an array here, and I'm going to give it. So we have what's it? Render callback, I believe is what it's called. Render callback. Right, and that's going to be the name of a function that we have to call. So I've got this like magic. I've got this loop happening. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to modify this slightly. I'm going to make each one of these items an array. All right, and I'm going to call this, what am I going to call this? I'll call this, you know what? I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to change it like this. I'm going to get rid of that trailing slash and add it here, like this. And then I'm going to just have the render function. We're going to do it like this. We're going to call render, and here I had to go block. So what this should do is allow us to just create a little function down here, call it function, call it render, and then the name of the block, we'll just hard code it accordion block. So that should do it that way, right? And then this function is going to take, it takes the attributes parameter. Oh my God. Attributes, and then we have content, and then we have block. And what it's going to get is it's going to show us, so the attributes are any attributes that this block has, obviously. The content is if we use InnerBlocks, and we are going to be using InnerBlocks, so InnerBlocks. Hello to whoever just joined, thanks for dropping in. And then the block is like basically everything. So what this is going to do is we want it to return markup of some form. Hi. So I'm going to do this, right? Okay, so I'm going to do that. So now, hopefully, if I've done this right and I haven't broken everything, I'm going to be able to come back over to here. I have this. I'm going to be able to refresh that. I'm just going to refresh this. Oh, of course. I'm going to put the accordion block back in. Accordion block. Okay, I'm going to update this. Now remember, we're not talking about anything on the front end yet, or sorry, the block editor yet. So if we look at this, yay, we've got high. So, yeah, which makes sort of sense because we actually aren't doing anything. I'm going to wrap this in a div, I think, just for now. And then hopefully that should just fix it. But yes, let's see, refresh it. So the cool thing about it is that we just made changes to our markup, and now we just refresh the front end, and it gets fixed. It's fine. We don't have to do anything about it. So that's our awesome accordion block. Thanks for coming to my stream. See you next week. Right. So, right. Okay. So now we can look at things. So what this is going to be is this block is going to be basically the container block for all of our other InnerBlock stuff. So let's jump over to our edit state. So in our edit, we have some pretty simple stuff going on here. We have a p tag, which we're probably not going to use. I'm going to convert that to a section tag. Is section the right semantic thing for this? No, I don't think it is. I'm going to use a div. I'm just going to use a div. If any front enders are there, they can tell me what's right or not. And then inside of here, so this is just going to be, let's do this. Let's add a title. So we'll say this is going to be a title, and then we want to have basically some kind of list, right? We want to have a li. Nope, it's not what we want to have. We want to have some kind of I don't know what the best way of setting up an accordion would be. Probably like list tags, right? Li. And then inside of that, we're going to want like an H4. I don't know. Let's do an H4 item name. And then let's just for the sake of simplicity, we'll just do content, right? And this is sort of, I think this is sort of what we're going to want for markup, right? Because then each one of these, is that right? I don't know if that's right. I don't know. I'll have to think about it. Anyway, so we'll come over here. So it's built. Let's take a look in here now. So this is going to change a bunch of stuff. Okay, I'm going to update this. I'm going to refresh this. Okay, so we've got sort of what's going on. So the item, so the way we're going to break this out is this is going to be part of the main, the accordion block, and these things are actually going to be managed by a separate block, but loaded into an InnerBlocks instance. So to do that, we're going to need a couple of components. So we can, I like to use the rich text component. So I'm just going to do, do I have this? No, I don't. Okay. Import rich text. Oh, you know what? It's part of this. Rich text. It's from the block editor component. So in here, so I'm going to swap this rich text. So rich text component takes a whole bunch of parameters. The first one is tag name. So tag name means whatever what's going to wrap it in. So we want it to be an H3 because that's what this is going to be. We also want to allowed controls, right? I think that's it. So if I just do, I want to do bold here. I think it's core bold. This is just, I'm not making these up. I just happen to know these off the top of my head. Checking in. Hello, hey Corey, how's it going? So we're gonna just do a little refresh here. I'm gonna just minimize it, refresh it. So now we should have two. We've got this thing, and then we've got, there we go. So this is, oh, you know what? It's not allowed controls. It's allowed formats. That's what it is. So if you, like when you use rich text, you can see that you actually get a fair amount of formatting. And this is not always what you want. Like you don't always, like in our case, I don't want someone to be able to link this somewhere or make it some superscript or whatever, keyboard input, and any of that stuff. I just want it to be like typable so people can see it and use it, and like what they see is what they get. The whole idea of the WYSIWYG, right? So I'm going to just basically turn my allowed formats off. So just to show what this would do. So if I just say I want bold, for example, so this is going to say that the only allowed formats on rich text should be the bold one. So if I refresh this now, we should, let me highlight that. See, we've only got bold, which, you know what, let's leave that in because maybe people want to make it bold. Who knows? Why not? Yeah, and then, so in here we have an onChange. The onChange is a callback that happens when, you guessed it, things changed. So we're going to get new, it's going to get, it's a function, and it's going to get past new text. It's going to, whatever the new text is, you can do whatever, you can call it whatever you want. And then in here, we also need to have, so then what we're going to want to do is save our attribute, which we haven't defined yet. We do that with the save attributes call. And save attributes comes from props, which is passed. So I'm going to destructure that out of props. Const, oh my goodness, come on, const, there we go. We're gonna go, it's not save attributes, it's set attributes. What is it, my first day? Is it set attributes? Hold on, this feels like a Monday. Paul's asking me, what is the focus today? Stream title says, oh, sorry, Corey, I didn't update it. It is definitely not doing that. It is inner blocks and dynamic blocks today. Thank you for reminding me for doing that. I'll go back and update that afterwards. Set attributes equals props. Why is this failing? I'm getting an error somewhere. Why is that not updating? I should be changing something. Should be fixing that. Sorry, I'm off on the tangent here. This is, I don't like what's going on here. Huh. Okay. That's weird. Maybe, do I have to? What the heck? Is this not working? That's working. Why is this not working? Oh, maybe I broke something. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of this and see what have I done. Does anyone see directly what the heck I'm breaking here when I do this? It should be, it's not formatting this file at all. Let's see, I'll do it. Okay, I think I know what I did here. So props. Yeah, okay, anyways. I don't know why, but my ESLint inside of this was overriding my broader ESLint, and things have been, then hilarity was ensuing, and now everyone got to watch me do that. Great, okay. Cool, so I'm gonna put the rich text back. So again, we have our tag name. Tag name is gonna be H3. This can be anything you want as long as it's a valid name. I think it needs to be block level though. So just try that out. I do remember rich text giving some grief if you were to like try to use a span. But that might be an older version, so you just might want to take a look at that. So anyways, we're going to get this back to where we were. So we were going to use the format of bold in there, and then we were going to do our onChange callback. So our onChange callback, like I said before, is a function, takes a function, and it gets the new text. And then just for now, I'm just going to console.log it, just so we can see it's working. All right, and then you know what? I'm going to add a placeholder. Placeholder text is just going to say title, just so we can see it. Title rich text, maybe make it easier. Okay, do that. And that's built. We'll come back over here. We're going to refresh this. And so, okay, cool. So we've got our regular tag, and this is it here. Looks like my allowed formats didn't work. We'll figure that out in a second. But if I type, you can see I get whatever I'm typing, getting console.log. Florida Quarter Man, welcome aboard. Yeah. Cool. Oh, because it's allowed formats, not allow formats. Great. Okay, so like I said before, we need to set attributes, but before we can set an attribute, we need to know what attribute we're going to set. So we're going to jump back over to our block.json, which is in here, and we are going to add, it's not in here, we're going to add an attributes object, and we're going to, first one's going to be, we'll call it just, call it title, and it is going to be of the type string. I'm gonna turn my Copilot back on. Man, this is just I'm gonna turn that back on. Cool. So now we have an attribute called title, and the type is of the type string. So what am I doing? So if I jump back over here, so now we'll just call set attributes, right? And we're going to set, because the attribute is called title, and we're going to call it new title. And I'm going to wrap this in an object because that's what you do. New text. All right, so that's going to update the attribute. Now the other thing that we need to do is we need to set the value of this rich text to the value of the title that we don't have yet. So so this attributes is also on, attributes is also on the props object. I'm going to do some fancy destructuring here and do it this way. So what this does is this says, give me title off of the attributes object. And so now that should stay updated. If I just scroll this down. Okay, so this is the new title. Right, so now we know that's working, it's saving it, so we can test if it's saving it, because if we just refresh this, it should come in and say, this is the new title, this is the new title. I've said title so many times that it's lost all meaning to me. So now we can get rid of that, so we don't need that there, right? But what we do need is we need to now show that on the front end. So we can jump back into here. So this is our callback, right? So what's our format's going to be a div. So we'll just do a div in here like we have. All right. Actually, yeah. So I'm going to var dump out the attributes here so you can see what's actually being saved. I'm going to jump on the front end, which is right here. So you can see we've got, I var dumped out the entire attributes array, and so this is what we got. So we have title, and we have the title. So we can access that by going title equals, and I like to do a little bit of, thank God for Copilot there. That's nice. So this is a bit of defensive programming. So if it's set, we're going to use title. If it's not set, we can put a default in here if you want, or in this case, maybe we'll leave it off. Doesn't really matter. You can do whatever you want. Cool. So we've got our title. So what I like to, the way that I like to approach this is in PHP, I hate strong word. I dislike having to jump in and out of like PHP a lot. So I'm going to start doing, I'm going to do it this way. So I'm going to ob start. So this is going to do some object buffering. Object buffering, output buffering. Then I'm going to close the PHP tag. So now I can just put actual HTML in here. All right, nice and simple. And then I can do H3, and then I can just go into PHP as needed. Echo escape HTML, because we don't want HTML. We're going to do that in there. VS Code never selects the $sign, and that's all we need to do, right? And then let me just grab the rest of this just so we can get it looking the way it's supposed to look, right? Well, we'll do that. I'm going to get rid of the var dump. I'm going to go back into PHP. What I'm going to do, I'm going to say OMG get clean, and I'm going to return that. And so this should spit all this out. And let's look in front end, and it does. So there we go. So we've got really, really simple. What's this? Yeah, definitely for using the PHP template outputs as much as possible versus Accordion statements. Yeah, for sure. I mean, you're going to end up doing that. I mean, the more complicated things get, the better it is to abstract it out. Like, you don't want to have that's why, for example, why I don't include in my index.js file, like I don't include like everything. Like I don't define the edit, because the edit's already starting to get a little large, and it'll get larger. You start adding inspector controls and block controls, toolbar controls. I mean, like, it's going to get pretty complicated. So definitely more files is usually better. It does mean it's a little harder to grok at times, but that's the thing. Okay, so what is the thing I'm going to do next? All right, so that's basically it in there. So what I want to do is I'm going to do some inner blocks in here now. So I'm trying to think of the best way to structure it. Because this is essentially going to be each inner block, because that's sort of what we want. Let's build that block, and then we'll make it work. Okay, so to do that, we're going to add another block in here. I'm going to call it accordion item. All right, and then I'm going to just copy and paste a bunch of stuff over here. Dash item, accordion item. Probably shouldn't be in widgets, but the one thing that we do need to add here is we need to add the parent property. So the parent property is going to say this can only be a child of this, not this one, but like the accordion block, right? So when we load this, we shouldn't see this block listed in the overall block inserter, only if it's probably just easier if I show that. So we're gonna have a title for that as well. So we'll do that. I'm gonna just update some of these things proactively. Oops. Okay, so we've got that. So I'm gonna take the edit. So that shouldn't do too much. I'm gonna copy this, copy this, copy this. Copy the edit. What am I missing? And then copy the editor. That's that. Okay. And then come back to our Webpack. I'm gonna just do that. I'm gonna say dash item. And say dash item. Oh, yeah, that's smart. Cool. So that should now get us a build. So we'll come back to our build command, stop it, and restart it. Hopefully we should get a couple of our build. Now we should have, yeah, we do. Okay, we got accordion and we got accordion item. So as it stands now, oh, and the last step, not there, yes, there. We need to just do this. That's going to cause a problem here, isn't it? Can I write functions like that? I guess we'll find out. I'm going to put the... Yeah, that's not going to work, is it? I knew getting tricksy on this was going to be stupid. Okay. So I guess I could do it a couple of ways. I could just do a string replace maybe. String replace. You're gonna replace. Oops. I'm gonna do that, and then we're gonna do the callback this way. Oops. And then I'll just like that. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. So we're gonna just just for now. So this is only gonna need to have this particular item. Just this li. You can see what we're doing here. We're kind of building out an ordered list, an unordered list. But this can be whatever markup you want it to be for an accordion. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to get into doing all the like the CSS and all, and the JavaScript for it. That's probably better suited for somebody who actually knows what they're doing with that stuff. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So we have this. We have that accordion block item. Great. So then let's see what happens if we come back into here. Always enjoy automating the rendering based on names files. Yes. We wouldn't be, yeah, develop isn't. I don't know what I'm about to say, so I'm just going to stop talking and drink coffee. All right, so I don't think we're going to see the accordion item in here. No, we're not. So let's make sure that that's because we meant to do it and not because things are broken. So this parent, I'm just going to get rid of that for now. Oops, geez, got a new keyboard and now it's like, okay, so I'm going to do that. No errors in the build. I'm going to refresh this. So what I just did was I removed the parent attribute, and so if I've loaded, okay, so here we go. So we've got an accordion and we've got an accordion item. Now it doesn't make any sense for the accordion item to be at this top level because it really only makes sense to be loaded in the context of its parent block or like the overall block, right? So that's where that parent thing comes in. And so now if we reload this and I do a search, we should only see the accordion up top now. Yeah, and we do. So yeah, while I'm in here, I'm going to add I'm going to go back here. I'm going to add an example. I'm going to add the example because the example looks nice. All right. Oh my gosh. I think we just go attributes. I think, what do you say? The title test? God, I can't even remember if I'm doing that right. Let's look. There we go. So you see, so I added the example and now it's rendering a piece it out, and it's rendering out with that value that I passed here. So this is an accordion. This is my accordion. So I can do that now. This is just a really nice user experience to being able to sort of show them what they're getting. And I really hate that. Anyways, I'm gonna get rid of the icon. I just don't like the way it looks. I'm sorry, I'm off on a tangent here, I realize. Accordion. So we'll just do that because I like Lego. Cool. Anyway, so that's that. So we got an example now happening. Now this thing's not showing up. So now the point of why I was doing that was to, let me just go close with this stuff down. So in the accordion block, in our edit state, we want to place, basically, we want to do this. We want to have an InnerBlocks instance right there. So we need to import from InnerBlocks, which I think, let's see, where is it? InnerBlock. Oh. It's in the block editor component or package. So I'm gonna just go in here and go InnerBlocks. We've got that InnerBlocks in here, so that's great. So let's see what this does in here. So there we go. So this is now selected. So we've got an InnerBlock. So we can put any block that we want inside of here. You can browse them all. You can get them all. It's all good. It's not really what we want to do though. So what we want to do is we want to limit the what's allowed in here. And you can do that with the allowed blocks attribute. Again, it's an array. Yes, it is. I was looking at it just before this. It's still experimental, so I'm not going to dive into it too far. But it looks pretty cool. Where you can I could just basically. There's a really good example of that in right in here. If you want to take a look, this is the social links component, and they're doing very similar things to what I'm doing now. Specifically, they have this placeholder thing, which is super cool. But what they're doing is they're generating a bunch of InnerBlock props right here, using that with all these fun things, and then they're just applying it to a UI tag, I believe, which is our UL tag, which is kind of like exactly what I'm doing at the moment. So very cool stuff. Very, very cool stuff. Now, I don't think it's quite ready for prime time yet, but we'll get there. Now, what was I doing? I forget what I was doing. Right, okay. So we want to come back here, and we're going to say the allowed blocks. So the only blocks that are allowed inside of this are going to be the block that we just created, this accordion item. So I'm just going to steal the name out of it, so I don't need to mess around with it. We're going to do it that way. All right, so this is not going to limit the blocks that are available. Reload. So if I select this, you can see I do this, and see it just well, that's weird. Accordion item. I gotta look and see what I've done. Oh, I know why that's so strange to me, because I think the edit still shows the other stuff. It does. So we're going to do this. And we're going to do this, and we're going to take this, and we're going to put it on the LI tag, and so on and so forth. Okay, and so just going to put whatever the title is in here. Actually, we don't have a title yet. Okay, so this is inner. All right, so let's try that. We got to build, we got to build, we got to build. Okay, let's refresh this. Okay, so go in here, we're going to add this, we're going to add an accordion item. So it just keeps adding them because there's only a single item that you can add, which is really handy. So you just keep adding accordion items in. And what's great about this is that now we don't have to roll our own like sorting solution. You know, you can just move things around however you want to move them. And it's pretty cool. So I'm going to just jump back in here. I'm going to get rid of this stuff so it's not confusing. Cool. So that is pretty much all we need to do at this point, I think. The one thing I like to do is to add a template. And the template starts with a single item in it, because that's just a good user experience. They're adding things, so there's really no reason to like not give them one to start, right? So that's what we're gonna do there. Notice, so I'm gonna update this and just gonna refresh it. Uh-oh, that's not good. What the heck did I break? Block type T is not recognized. That does not seem. Oh, I think it's an array of arrays. I think it's an array of arrays because you can actually pass items. Like I think you can pass title in there. I might just be making this up, but I believe that's how it works. Let's just take a look here. I hate that error. Yes, everyone hates that error. It's so not helpful. Let's just see what this does. So, okay, so I'm gonna delete that block. I'm gonna grab this accordion block. Accordion item. What did I put it in? Title from template. No, I didn't do that right. I have to look that up. Let's look that up. So template. No. My template. Placeholder. Huh, weird. Okay, so you put the name of the block. It is what you should be doing. So this is the. Have I not? Oh, I know. Have I not defined the title for that? Oh, it's not showing the titles. Dummy, Ryan? You're a dummy. Okay, so in here, this is why it's not working. This is why I needed to probably go through this before I streamed it. So let's try this again. I need to re-add the recording block. No, what's happening is that, yeah, because in my accordion block, Adam, that's a really valid thing. My accordion block wasn't accessing the attribute of title. I was the accordion item block was just, I was throwing hard-coded content in there, which is super useless. And so that's, yeah. So now, yeah. So when you define your template, you pass each item in your template is an array. So you have an array of arrays, which takes the name and then an object, which represents all of the attributes for that particular block. So and you can do that with core stuff too. You can do that with all blocks. I don't know why there would be any difference there. Cool. So I'm not going to add that because we don't necessarily want them to have anything pre-configured in there. But that's, so now if we, I'm going to just update this and then I'll refresh it. And we'll add a new block in from scratch. So you can do this a couple, I keep doing the slash thing. I don't know if people know that. I mean, I didn't until recently. You can do the slash, but you can easily insert it from there. So we'll grab that and... Oh, right. Yeah. So that does work. There's no title. So I think what we need to do is work a bit on, work a bit on this one, which is the accordion item. So in here, again, we're going to import the rich text, which is also from block editor. So we're going to use that for in here. This is very similar. This is exactly what we did on the last one. Right. And we're going to go tag name. This time it's going to be H4. We're going to go value. Value is always going to be the attribute that represents this item. So it's going to be title in this case. And then we have allowed formats. I'm just going to set that to an empty array, which will basically not allow it to have any formats. And then what was the onChange. OnChange, again, is just a function that takes the new title. And then we can just, this is all fairly similar. We've already seen all the set attributes. We're going to set the attribute of title to new title, right? We should be able to get rid of this. And then let's refresh it. Let's update this because I hate dealing with the refresher. Okay, so this is the first item. So we update that. Great. Content we haven't dealt with yet. So for the content, I was just thinking that we use another rich text because you can do multi-line stuff in rich text. You can do all kinds of things in there. You can insert images. You can have all kinds of fun with it. So if we just do a really simple rich text, the default tag name for rich text is div, I think. So I think you have to set it to P. And then the value is going to be, we're going to have to create a new attribute for this. We're going to call it content. And then we'll leave all the formats and everything in. And then I'm just going to copy and paste this because I was lazy. And then we're going to set the new content. Yeah, so we'll go copy and paste for the win. And then the only thing we left to do is in our block. So we've got it. So in our block item, we've got one attribute defined for title. I'm gonna just define a second one. That was a VS Code thing that I did. Shift Option down and up arrow will copy and move things. So we'll go content like that, and yeah. So that's all we should have to do there, I believe. Let's just refresh this. Oh, let's make sure it built. Okay. And refresh. Oh, got another error. What's my error? What's my error? Content is not defined. Edit on 47. That makes sense. Edit on. Yep, that'll do it. Content. So again, I'm just destructuring, doing this all in one line. You can do this a couple of different ways. You can actually just take all of this and plunk it in there, and then get rid of this, I think. No, you gotta. Oh, what have I done? Will that do it? What am I doing wrong here? That'll. Oh man. Let's try this again. We want all of that stuff passed in there, and then we get rid of this. That's what did. Okay, so you can pass it all in the same line. So the downside of doing it this way is that you don't have access to the full props object again. Hello, P. Georgiev. I'm sorry if I'm saying that incorrectly. Could you have interblocks there as well? Is there any limit of interblocks within blocks? Adam, no. The only limit is two things. one, your imagination. Two, how much you're willing to fight with interblocks inside of interblocks. I've done an accordion block in the past that was like a block that had inner blocks that you put stuff in, and then inside of that you had inner blocks, and it gets kind of from a user experience point of view, it gets kind of hard to manage. And as we'll see, like the other thing that we have to do is we have to kind of like pass or save data back and back, right? Through in the save function. So the answer is no, but you have to be willing to mess around with it a little bit, because it does get a little like, one of the downsides of it, in my opinion, is that you don't know what you have selected. So for example, like when we're looking at this, let me just reload this and hopefully it works again. Great. So looking at this, which block is selected? So now I can tell that I'm in the accordion, and then now down here I'm in the accordion item. So if you had another item at this level, like now I've got multiple accordion items, and then I'll have another one inside of this potentially. It can get a little bit confusing, especially with very complicated blocks. Like imagine you have like two columns, like, this is fairly straightforward. I mean, you can always get into it this way. Like you go up to the list view and you can select the thing that you want. What I've done in the past is sort of, when a block is selected, kind of like wrap it in some CSS. It's exactly what we did, Adam. It was like when I had the main blocks selected, there'd be like a dashed box around it or whatever, horrible thing I came up with. So it does get a little bit difficult to navigate at that point, but it doesn't mean you can't do it. The only limitation, I believe, is that you can only have one inner blocks per block. Yeah. So, but anyways, where were we? Let's get back to what I was doing here. So cool. So we have this. All right. So the content block is, you can put anything you want in there. I think we can insert an image, can't we? Inline image. Yeah. So we can do anything we want. And that's probably what you want for like an accordion. I am going to add a placeholder to each of these, because again, it's not great. Excuse me. So we'll do placeholder, and we'll call it, now, if you're doing this for like an actual plugin, you should probably be using the I18N. I should be using it as well. So, item title right? And then you can actually translate it, and that's what this text domain entry is for. So if you just do it like that, right? That's a nice way of doing it. And this is the item content. Yeah. So if I refresh this now, so it's looking a little blank. So now we've got this sort of thing here, right? So something else to consider. This is something that I've done in the past on some blocks, is using the is selected Boolean, which basically tells you whether or not the block is selected, and then conditionally showing these fields if they're if it's empty, it doesn't get shown. So long story short, when the block's not selected, you're not seeing empty fields, right? So if you could do something like this, where you say is selected, or title, right? And then you can go and this is kind of like some Trixie magnet. Oh, what did I do wrong here? No, I want to do that. I want to do it this way. There we go. So what this is saying? No. Why is this giving me grief? I think I need to put this here, maybe. No, this thing wants. I'm not doing this right. This for some reason. So basically, so this is only going to show this if it's selected, right? So if this is not selected, you can see that the title is not there. But if I select it, all of a sudden the title comes in, which is nice. But we also want it to happen. Well, let's just see what that does. This is ESLint trying to tell me I'm not writing code properly, so maybe that's the problem. So I do this, and I'll see the title's not there. That's stupid. I think I might need to wrap it like that. That's probably what's gonna work. Okay, cool. Let me just try this again. My mic's in the way. I keep decking my head. I think you want to friends around the tire. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Okay, so now let's add the title, and we'll say this title 1. All right, so we update that. So now hopefully, so it displays, yeah. And so we want something similar down here. I'm just gonna copy that. And copy that, and then I'm going to say it's selected, and I'm going to do content, right? So now when we add these things, it's not going to render empty ones. It's just rendering the UL tag there. So there's a bit of an argument as to whether or not this thing should render at all. So if you just do item title 1, right, you can see it will show up, but the empty fields do not. It's kind of a nice way of just cleaning this interface up a little bit. Right, and then content. Do I have? I had a really nice extension that I think I've gotten rid of. Yeah, for generating lorem ipsum. I'm gonna just ipsum generator. Sure, let's just whatever generate one paragraph. And we'll grab that. And see what happens here. Grab that, paste it in. There we go. Did that put a bunch of white space in there? It did. Okay, cool. So that's our thing. Right? Great. So that's working. It's all there. Awesome. And then, but this isn't doing anything, right? So we need to have our accordion main title. We'll add that. Cool. So we've got the accordion main title. You can see none of this stuff's coming through. So that's the next step here. Cool. So we've got this happening. We've got all this working here. So what we want to do is we want to have this block Wait, what do we want to do here? We need to do the edit state of this block, which is down here. Right, so we're gonna do content, and then we're gonna look in content. We're gonna look in content. Let me just double check something here. So title 1, item name. Okay, so we're just gonna let me go echo, and then we do want some potential markup in here, so we'll use post. So it's just fine because this should give us, this shouldn't escape anything that can't be saved to a post, so we should be good there. But we notice that we've done this, but we're still getting the old stuff. So let's take a look at why that is. So this block is pretty much done for all intents and purposes, right? We should have everything that we need for this particular block. I'm gonna just, don't need the div in there though. All right, so we'll just do that. That's good. So let's look at what's happening now in the main accordion block. So remember I said that the save needs to be null. That's if you're not using InnerBlocks. If you're using InnerBlocks, it needs to return the InnerBlocks content. So to do that, I'm going to import the save again, and we'll just do it in there. Save from save, and then we'll get rid of this. Now in the save function in here, I'm going to just go InnerBlocks, and we should just have to return, InnerBlocks.content. And we have to, this is actually a thing, InnerBlocks.content. So that should be all we need to do for that. Does that need to be there? It does need to be there. Okay, so we need to just use block props. Right, we should just be able to return all that. Some cleanup that we should do in there. We're not using this anymore, so we should get rid of that. Cool. Anyways, so let's see. That works. So let's do a little refresher. Still not doing anything. So let's look at the PHP side. So in here, we're going to scroll up here. So this has still got all this stuff in place. So we know that this is good up to here. So this is, I'm just going to write InnerBlocks content. So when we look at the front end, we know that this is here, and then we know that we're going to have the InnerBlocks content. We know the InnerBlocks content is all the list items. So so that should be right here. So let's just var dump that and see what comes out. Content, right? See what happens. So, oh, it's empty. Interesting. Why is it empty? Let's look. Wonder if it's, ooh. Okay, item 1, and then clipboard, put in there. Oh gosh, cancel. All right, let's cancel, update. Let's update. Why does that keep wanting me to update? There we go. Okay, so it's because I hadn't updated the thing, updated the block. So you can see what I've got here is this is outputting all of the content for this particular block, right? Sorry, it's outdating the InnerBlock content. So anything inside of this InnerBlocks is being output here. So in theory, we could just echo it, right? Now, probably want to do some escaping it in there, some kind of combination of, I wonder if the post one would work, because you can put list items in a post. So let's do that. All right. So this should hopefully, there we go. I need to get rid of that bar dump though. Right. And so content is actually, this is block content. I'm going to call this something different. InnerBlock content, because that's less confusing, because we do actually have a content, or like a content attribute on this other block. Right, so now we refresh this, we have that in place. So now we can just come in, we can just say I want to add another one, item 2, And then here, let's inline an image. Do I have anything in here? I don't. Let's see what I got. There, let me put that up there. Select. There we go. We've got this. Make it 300. We'll update that. Come back over here. So you see, so we built out we've built it out. And now we can, like, you know, so this is clearly not an accordion in the sense of markup and interaction, right? But if we wanted to get some JavaScript in here, we could easily do that in the. So what would be the best way to do that? I guess we could just enqueue it as needed. You can use the scripts, right? It's like, so if we had, could do it in here. So like script, let's just add a new, this is like accordion. We'll call it script.js, right? And a block in here, we can just add a script. And this should just go, what do I call it? Script.js. No, so this is going to be loaded on both the front end and the admin side. So if I do this, and I'm going to try to remember how to do an iffy, the function like this, and then like that. Is that right? Console.log. I'm going to say load. Oh, come on, right? Loaded. Loaded. Right. So we'll do that. We'll do this, and then hopefully, let's just see. So on the front end, let's open this up, and then we'll go to the console, and then I think we'll just see if this works. Of course it didn't work. Why would it work? So content, themes. Block. File. Script.js. Let's look. No console errors. Probably just something weird with my pathing going on here. Delete that and just rerun this. Oh, okay, the asset for script is defined is missing. Please. Okay, so I'm just not pathing it correctly. Strange. It's relative to the path of the block.json, so it should be right there. Well, that's just weird. Okay, well, is it loaded in here? Oh, there's a JavaScript there somewhere. Allow. Oh, I put loud formats. Did something wrong. Okay. Well, hold on 1 second. Allowed formats. That's gonna fix that problem. Thank you. Oh. Okay, so we got no errors there. Sources, content, plugins. That coming from build. Okay, well, I guess the other way that we could do it, seems very strange to me that it's not finding that. Okay, well, I'm just gonna queue it. Now I want this to work right. This is really strange. Why is it not finding it there? Is anyone seeing anything that I'm not? As we got a script, and this is the custom script.js file that needs to be loaded. Why don't I just do it that way? It's so weird. Huh, okay, well, of course it wouldn't load. Why would it load? So we just need to, okay, so I'm going to do it in here then. Q script. Handle is going to be the Accordion script. Source to be plugin directory URL. And this is going to be the file. And then we're going to append we're going to do it that way. I'm going to add a top level directory on here. I'm going to go a folder called assets. I'm going to move it in there. We're going to put that thing custom script assets. Yes, move it. I'm going to go /assets/ and it's going to do an array and then it doesn't really have any dependencies at the moment. And then, yeah, sure, true. Okay. So hopefully this should enqueue that script for us now. It did. Okay, so it enqueued. So you could do it that way. It's weird that it wouldn't work on that on the block thing. So this shouldn't be loading it in here because we don't technically want it in here. I would imagine like we don't. I don't know if we necessarily want to have it toggling. I mean, you could. It's just that might be a strange experience. You could do something with is selected, and then maybe it doesn't show all the content. It just shows the items. You could do it that way. That's an interesting approach. So we could do in our I am now lost and don't know what I'm doing. Okay, I'm gonna try doing this way, just for the sake of it, because it's at the same root of the builds. So if I just go in here, right, same levels as build assets, I'm gonna de-enqueue that. I got so many files open, I don't even know where I am anymore. And I'm just gonna comment that out for now, and then see, does this work? It still doesn't work, huh? Weird. Oh, there's a space in there. That could be part of the problem. Still nothing. Well, that's strange. All right, I'll have to figure that out later, I guess. I'm gonna just put this in queue back in and space that out a little bit. It's easier to read. Okay, cool. So, nope, true. So now, so yeah, so in your custom scripts, if you had some kind of like Accordion library or something that you were using, you could just enqueue it there. You can load that in there and do it that way. So that's kind of it, I guess. That's kind of, yeah. I guess one thing that could be neat is if you only showed the actual content when it's selected. So that's kind of like a way of doing it. Now this might be a bit jarring. So for example, so if it's not selected, you don't see any of the content. If it is, I see what's happening there. So if you select this, you just get these items. If you select, so if I select the accordion block, we just get this item. If I select an individual item, I get the title and the content. Which might be an okay way of doing it. Because, if you had 20 of these, it would get, you'd push the page up pretty far. or sorry, you'd push content below it pretty far, and that could get a bit jarring. Something like creating a tabs block. Yep, for sure. I mean, like the other thing. Oh, that's cool. The other thing that you can do, and I meant to mention this, is the InnerBlocks also has a direction. Let's look. I can't remember what the prop is called, but there is a allowed blocks orientation. So if you pass orientation, let's see what it does. Orientation equals. So default is what? Vertical, I think, right? So if we pass this to horizontal, we don't need that. I think, let's just see what this does. You might need to kind of couple this with CSS a little bit. So let's just see. Mass, not really doing. Oh yeah, see. So if we were to put a bit of, let's see, let's put a bit of CSS on there. Let's see if that does much. So we can get this class name. Class name is inner content, right? So in here, on my editor, we're gonna go. I'm just gonna do it this way. Display, and then we'll say flex. Is that what I want? I think that might be what I want, isn't it? Let's just see. Let's inspect. Probably not. I'm probably just messing this up here. But new blocks. Oh no. Did that not get? I think my stuff's getting overwritten. Oh, I don't know. I'm gonna go. Flex direction. Is that doing it? No, I don't think it's gonna do it. Maybe I have to set a width. Width, let's say, whatever, 100 pixels. Oh, wait. No, the item needs to have. Yes, okay. So I've gone down a rabbit hole here. I think we're gonna need to have each item have a width on there. So if I go here, what's this? Go width. 100 pixels. No. 20 pixels. 2 pixels? No. All right. So clearly I have no business messing around with this stuff. But it does allow you to do horizontal items, or have a horizontal or orientation, which would help for tabs. Yeah, the markup isn't tab friendly. It is possible, but it's a bunch of work. When I was at 10 up there, we had some blocks that were, I think there's a block library that's out now that has some of this stuff in there. But anywho, I'm just gonna delete my horrible CSS and pretend that never happened. But anyways, it is possible to have the orientation go left and right as opposed to, or vertical, sorry, horizontal as opposed to vertical. The default is vertical though. Let's look at some of the other things in here. So template, we talked about template insert. Okay, well, this is cool. So when you insert something, it automatically updates the selection. So when I insert it, it'll automatically select the block that I have inserted, which might be handy. Template lock is good if you don't want people to move anything. Render appender. This is a fun one. So if you wanted to have, It used to be when you used InnerBlocks, when they first were released in core, InnerBlocks didn't have the ability to know how many blocks were allowed in it. So if you had a block, if you had an InnerBlock instance, but you only allowed one type of block, you'd get the whole, the entire inserter to would be added. So you'd see this whole interface, like you'd see this entire interface, but it'd be empty except for a single block, which seemed a bit silly because you only have one, so you should just insert the one that you want. Now they've that's been updated, which is really cool. So you can just keep adding items, and it's smart enough to know. But if you ever wanted to like roll your own render appender, which sounds like a kid's toy, you can do that. But you can actually just build your own, or if you don't want one, for example. I wrote an article on my blog about limiting the block count, because that's one thing that you can't do right now. We can't say just like give like this only allows 6, right? You have to kind of roll your own solution to do that. So let's so if I set this if I set that to false, this should not have a render appender in here. Now let's take another look. Cool. So I do this. So yeah. So that's inserting a block below it, but that's not. I can't actually insert stuff. Now, can I insert it this way? I can still insert it there. Yeah. So, but if you wanted to have your own render appender, I think it just takes a function, right? That then returns whatever you want it to return. So I can just say, click a button and click me. That doesn't seem like it likes that at all. Oh, and returns is not a proper keyword, right? That needs to go in. Okay, so I think this is going to show a button at the bottom, but it won't. It's not going to actually do anything. Yeah, so we click that. So this is our custom appender now. So we can't, so if you want to customize it entirely, you can absolutely do that. You do have to write your own block insertion code. If you want to see that, you can do that. I've got limited account for InnerBlocks. This is an article that I wrote. It's a bit old now, but you can basically steal this code if you'd like. I think it does not account for the inserter yet. I should go back and update that. But basically, what we're going to want to do is grab the block count, and then yeah, I'm just going to copy this. So we need insert. So I'm going to just put it in here for now. So I don't have use select. I have to add use select from data. So import. I wonder if this code will still work. Use select from WordPress data. Oh, come on. All right. So we got that. We got that. And then we can just say, we can just pass that to there, I believe. Let's take a look. Nope. Let's do it like this. Appender to use. I think I just call function. I think I can do it a different way, but anyhow. Your block, step block. Okay. So client ID. I need that from the attributes, right? Yeah. Oh, it's from the prop. Yeah, from prop. So client ID is another attribute or prop that gets passed through. So hopefully this should. I have a VS Code add-on that tells me when things are spelled poorly, because you've all seen me type. You know what that's like. So let's see what this is. So the idea here is that once I add 10, the appender should not appear. Oh wow. Oh right. Okay. I think I might want to use a different block appender there. Let's see. So there is some. We're gonna use the default block one. So anyways, so the render appender, there are 2 default versions of the render appender that you get with Core. So I'm just going to switch it to this one. Because I think that looks closer to what we're actually trying to do here. Let that build. I'll go back over here and do this. Yeah, so we got 2. We got 3. We got 4, 5, 6. I should have changed this to a lower number. 7. We're gonna go 8. We're gonna go 9. Oh, come on. Where'd that go? 9. And then, hopefully, I'll add 10. And then, yeah. And then now we can't add any more through the render appender in there. So this is, yeah. And this, you can set that to whatever you want. Now, one thing to note is that if you want it so you can't insert it from here, you're going to have to do some more work. I have to figure out a way of doing that. I think maybe filtering the block and hide it from the inserter, deregister the block. I'm not really sure yet. But if you say come in here and delete one of these, we get the appender back. So that's a fun little exercise to do. And then you can also customize this entirely however you want to. Yeah. Cool. So I don't know what else to really go over. I hope that sort of answered, addresses some of the things that we talked about in here. The biggest stumbling block, in my opinion, for working, like creating an accordion style thing or a tab style thing, Adam, to your point, is that getting it to look right in the CSS, getting it to look right in the admin is very difficult. Because you are fighting a lot of things. You probably don't want to introduce the JavaScript that handles your tab switching or your accordion collapsing and opening in here because, well, I shouldn't say you shouldn't, but I think that perhaps it adds a level of complexity because then you have JavaScript fighting other JavaScript and it gets a little bit weird. But yeah. But I mean, it's completely doable. It's just, I haven't seen a great. I haven't seen it. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist, of course. But anyhow, so that's that. Does anyone have any questions? The 5 of you, I haven't bored you all to tears yet. So hopefully, anyone have anything else they want to see talk about? All right. One thing I did want to mention was I think I did figure out a way. I figured out the transform stuff. Did I add it? What did I just? Where did I edit? Yes. I don't know if anyone's seen my stream on converting to a shortcode, but I kind of stopped it right around the part where we were talking about transforms, because it was kind of unclear. So I just wanted to follow up on that. I did update the code and I did figure out a couple of these transforms. The one that's of the type shortcode what it does wasn't completely obvious to me. Let me just kind of show you what I'm talking about. And I'm kind of jumping all over the place here a bit, but so if I deactivate this, I activate my shortcode plugin. I go post shortcode to block. So we've got this here. So I'm copying this into my paste buffer right now. So what that transform is doing is if I paste it into here, it converts it into the block, which I think is super cool. But it wasn't completely obvious to me. And then this one just allows you to convert from a shortcode block. You can convert it into the random photos block. That took a bit of working, but so those are the 2 transforms that I added to the shortcode block that we created. So I don't know if that's helpful to anyone, but the code is up on the repository it's in the shortcode plugin block. Yeah, cool. Well, I think that's it for me. I don't think I'm gonna do much more. So again, thanks for coming. I'm gonna just shout out, we have in my Twitch, I have a code repository for this. Ryan Welch, it's in my Ryan Welcher /Twitch. I'll drop it into the chat if anyone wants it. And there you can get all the code for all the streams. They're in a branch and in the trunk as well. Also, there's issues. So if there's anybody who wants to see anything or wants to tell me how horrible I'm doing or whatever, please open an issue. You can tag it as a question, a topic, request, whatever. And yeah, that's it. Yeah. So thanks for coming. Appreciate it. And I'll see you all on the interwebs. Later.